if you have these thoughts and that calling, and there's that little whisper inside your heart saying, go for it, do it. You have to answer. It's your duty to answer.
Yeah. Because someone out there is waiting for it.
Welcome back to another episode of Patent Pending, the podcast. We're so happy to have you here today. Katie and I are diving in to this episode with tons of tips, experiences, explanations about our entrepreneurship journey. Today we're going to be sharing with you all the different things that we did wrong along the way, some of the stuff that we pivoted from, some of the things that we're still developing, and what's helping us to stay aligned with the proper mindset for developing our business at this time, and a whole lot more. You definitely are going to want to grab a pen and paper for this one. There's a lot of fun tips to capitalize off of, and we hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for being here.
I can't believe we're 4 months in. Like, what?
I know, it's so weird. Like, I feel like I see the episode numbers every week, and it makes sense, because I'm just seeing, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But, like, you look back on how much time it actually is, and it's like...
What?
12 episodes, yeah, sure, but 4 months?
Yeah, it's
That's crazy. Like, we're coming up on half a year now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I noticed it on LinkedIn today. I was like, wait, 4 months? It's been 4 months? Okay. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the most exciting part has just been like learning new parts of our interests and watching it develop along the way. When we had that clear big vision in the beginning and we had no idea how exactly it would develop or how we would get there, but we just trusted ourselves enough to take the leap and try. And now here we are, and it's working. We're doing the thing.
I feel like in the beginning, as we were going through everything, trying to figure out what we were going to do and what exactly our vision was, and we saw all that stuff about, like, ready is a lie and all of those, like, little motivational things that have kind of stuck with us, and I feel like we found them in, like, the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we both were initially in that mode of, like, we have to have everything together, and I remember we set the one date, the release date, and we were like, yeah, we're going to do it this day, and then a week later we were like, maybe that's, like, too ambitious.
Yeah. You're like, this is not feasible. Recollect yourself.
Yeah,
We're
right?
still doing this.
Yeah.
Just figure out a new day.
Yeah, and then I think we only put it off, like, a week, right?
Yeah, it was like a week, I think. We said, like, June 4th or something, and then we, like, changed it to, like, maybe, like, the 10th or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. So we did stick to, for the most part, our initial timeline. And we didn't know what we were going to do beyond that.
Yeah.
It was like, we got our first episode, we know what we're doing here, and then everything else was like, now what?
It was just
Where do we
amazing
go?
to see and feel everything fall into place along the way. And even now, I still feel like that when we go through, like, a week and we're like, oh, wait, we don't have, like, every single guest plan for the next 6 months. What do we do?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, wait a minute. It's like, oh, that whole idea that we had, that whole series, that thing fell through. Like, let's just regroup and do it again. And it just, like, falls into my brain. I'm just like, okay, this is who I need to reach out to. This person is going to want to do it. I need to talk to this one. It's just like there. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not pushing it and I'm not, like, searching for it aggressively to the point where I'm not giving it time to organically happen, you know?
Right. And I feel like when you don't put yourself under the pressure, that's when everything comes together the way it's supposed to.
Sure, yeah.
We've had weekends where we had, 3 different things scheduled.
Yeah.
And we're like, great, we're not going to have to do any more recordings, the rest of the month, and we're going to be in good shape. We got everything set up, and then, everything falls apart. And then in those moments is where you realize, are you really determined? Are you really going to do this? And each time we've just kind of regrouped, put something together, whether we decided to record an episode on our own or we were able to reschedule for the next day. It's even our first episode.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a mess.
The technical difficulties that we've gone through is crazy, but that first episode we tried to do our virtual recording, didn't quite work. And then it worked out that she was able to come here and we were able to record it in person, and that episode to still today is our most listened to episode.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know, I just feel like when you're really turning into yourself and looking within yourself and really listening, things start to happen. Because you're like, oh, that makes sense. I just need to go and do that thing, whatever it may be. And then you do it, and then something good happens. And you capitalize off of whatever comes from that good thing that happened. And you just keep doing that thing over and over again. You stay consistent with nurturing your vision and listening to yourself and listening to your thoughts and really getting to know what they mean. And then you're happy to be doing the regrouping, and you're happy to be doing the scattered work or the messy things or the scrappy things. It doesn't feel stressful.
Yeah. And I feel like what's really important when you're going through something like this that's such a broad vision, and you start out with this really big idea, and it's we want to do all of these things, and we want to make this impact and talk to these people. It's so important to look at those things and say, all right, what's going to get me there?
Yeah.
And really come up with those actionable steps that you can take to get you there. So is it making a Twitter account? Is it making a LinkedIn account? Is it updating your website to have something new on there where, your listeners can do something different, or, just creating those little things. How many times am I posting on Instagram? How many times am I doing this? Just being very specific about the steps you need to take to get where you want to be. And then the big vision doesn't seem that hard.
Yeah, and I feel like when you're doing anything entrepreneurial, you'll hear so many people just be like, it's all about the why. It's all about the why. It's all about the why. And it's just like, when I started hearing that at a younger age, I was always just like, well, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Why am I doing it? Is that all you're asking me? I don't know, because I want to make money. No. That's not how you find the work that serves you. When you're doing something that's just aligned with your purpose and what you're supposed to be giving to the world, it's going to fuel you in a different way than just your pocket. I feel like the what is just as important as the why, and it's kind of taking the backseat often when you hear a lot about entrepreneurship and a lot of these self-help books and business books and things that I've consumed in the past have always, again, focused on the why. Why is that? Yes, the why is important, but there's other parts that need just as equal of a focus. And doing the thing, which is the what, is what's actually going to get you to where you're trying to go.
Yeah, I mean, they're all important pieces. The what, the why, the how. Everything is a necessary part of the whole process.
Yeah.
So, your why might get you your broader vision, and, you want to keep checking in with your why along the way, but you need to know what in order to get you there and how.
Yeah, you can't give the why your sole focus.
Right.
I feel like I tried to do that for a really long time, and that was definitely a big mistake. It was just really, I think, searching for myself in everything that I did. why am I doing this? And a lot of times the answer was, because it's making me great money. And why wouldn't I do that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it was like, oh, because this is fun for me and I make great money. But it was always, the money part was always there. And I don't know, I never felt the way that I feel about our work now about anything I've ever done ever before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the fact that it wasn't about that when we started, I mean, it's still not, that's not like our
focus,
like
key
big
focus.
focus for this whole thing. It's, you know, if it gets us there, then great. But we started it because we both felt a need to put something out there and say what we have to say and see if anybody needs to hear that. And hopefully, you know, give somebody some information that helps them in their journey.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said, especially with podcasting, with being able to share your heart with the world in a different way. Like there's so many different things to consume when it comes to content out there right now. People are listening to things all the time. We're overstimulated. We're looking at stuff all the time. We're constantly on our devices. So if somebody's going to give you the space to be in their brain, it better be something really damn good.
Yeah.
So that fuels my energy every day, and there is no fear around that. It's not like, oh, what are they going to think about what I said? It's like, the right people are going to listen to what the hell I have to say. And it's going to help somebody. And these words are put in my mind to be given for a reason.
Yeah. And, I mean, the biggest thing we're trying to do, too, is just be real. And like real people. This is us.
We're here. This is our lives.
We're not putting on any kind of, you know, charade here. This is literally us. And all these conversations we have with everybody are conversations that we've had our whole lives and things that we've been interested in for so long. And now we're just having the opportunity to talk about them with some really amazing people and hopefully impart some knowledge, inspiration, motivation on somebody else.
Yeah. And I feel like those are the key reasons why we started this whole thing. But there was so much more to be said about what it's been like for us as far as the learning curves that we've approached, the things that we've had to teach ourselves, the stuff we didn't even think about, the fact that we didn't know when we started. Like, the hell is a landing page? How do you build that? How do you make a website? Like, how do you do these things? So I think we should dive into that a little bit. Just for everybody who's out there trying to build a brand for yourself and create something to put out into the world, whether that be, you know, a podcast or a company or whatever it is, whatever service you're providing. I'm sure there's a lot of things that we've experienced in our journey that will cross over in yours as an entrepreneur in general as well. I think top of mind for me, the most, not difficult, but the most annoying thing to have to keep up with is social media. It's such an important tool. It's so important. But when you look at it from a business standpoint, you have to utilize it in a whole new way. Mm-hmm. It's not just for your entertainment anymore. And I think you were saying this maybe in one of our last episodes, Katie, how like you start rebuilding your Instagram feed in a different way. You unfollow certain people and follow new people to make it the content that you need to be seeing, because you're really filtering what you're seeing on a day-to-day basis so that you can learn in a different way. And we've been doing that, but we're also responsible for putting that educational content out there. So not only are we trying to learn from other people's content, curate our own content, and rebuild our feeds so that we're being educated properly and filtering the right things, we're trying to also create and put things out there for you as well. And it becomes a bit overwhelming at times, no matter how many like tools you use or schedulers you try or whatever it may be. It's a matter of finding the content within you to put out into the world and then actually physically creating it.
Yeah, and I feel like we've definitely mindset is a huge thing when it comes to that. The creating the content. I feel like, there's so many different parts of what we've done so far, whether it's creating the website, the graphics, the Instagram posts, the podcast itself, and topic ideas for guests. There's so many different things that go into it, and you really have to be aware of like what mindset you're in every day. And if you're in that creative mindset to go and put together some content for Instagram, do that.
Yeah.
And I've found that if I don't force myself to do one certain thing, then I'm a whole lot more productive than if I, schedule everything out, anticipating what mindset I'm going to be in. Just every day I wake up and, if it's a Instagram content day, it's an Instagram content day. If it's a, build the website day, it's a build the website day. If it's a tech day, maybe I have to figure out how to do something on the Apple Podcast website or something. You focus in on whatever your mindset is for that day, and that's going to be a whole lot more productive.
Yeah, and that's what helps it to not feel like work.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're always doing something that you want to do if you're staying aligned with your mindset for the day. I think that's a great point. And I think that, for me at least, the way to stay in a mindset that allows you to be most efficient and get a little bit of all the different things done all goes back to taking care of yourself. I know when I'm journaling every morning, when I'm waking up before my kids, when I'm having my coffee before the baby wakes up, and I'm sitting down and taking some silent time for myself and taking care of the things that I want to take care of in the morning, I set myself up for so much more success and so much more efficiency that day.
Mm-hmm.
You can't look at it like a week at a time. You can set, of course, goals for the week,
right.
But I think that you're so much more productive when you kind of go through your phases of the day and you honor whatever's going on or whatever's coming up, and you find ways to work around the things that come up for you. So, like, if I'm in a crap mood and my little baby is crying all day long and he is driving me nuts and I'm trying to listen to something for edits, or I need to write a few posts and I just can't get the words out because the dialogue's not going through my mind the right way because there's a baby crying in the background, I don't do that at that moment. I take him, I deal with that, I take care of that, I calm him, I figure out whatever it is that's going to occupy my child for the moment, so that I can get done what I need to get done and get back into the proper mindset. And sometimes that means go and sit down and have a glass of wine and then try to write an Instagram post. And other times that means, okay, go back to your laptop, put the baby in the other room, turn on the TV, and let the kids play while you go and do some social media work or whatever it may be that I'm trying to do. Right. But you have to honor every single phase of your day, and there can be plenty of hours where you're productive and plenty of hours where you're not. That's okay, but that's all part of the journey, and that's what I've grown to understand along the way. It's not like a corporate job where you're sitting in an office and you can just focus in and be doing the thing all the time, all day long, set hours. Entrepreneurship doesn't work that way. You have to capitalize off the power of now. When you have the energy and the mindset to do something, you have to do it right then and now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, then you're wasting an opportunity. And somebody else is going to take that.
Yeah, I feel like two things came to mind while you were just talking about that. One is, I feel like when you first start something, you have to give yourself a little bit of slack.
Yeah.
We worked so hard in the beginning, and we still are. And I think that over time, you increase those moments of productivity because you get to learn what you need to do, and it becomes a little bit easier and easier over time getting those things done. But also, as you were talking about, when the baby's crying or when things are going on and you're maybe not in that mindset. I remember one Instagram post I did the other day that was be your own resource. and I was dealing with something in my own personal life that was frustrating to me, and it was, it was not taking on responsibility for something that you need to get done.
Yeah.
And, depending on somebody else for that. And so I took that moment where I maybe wasn't in the mindset to make a blog post and said, wait a minute, this is actually a learning moment.
Yeah. You have to take the chance every time that comes up to make those difficult times into learning opportunities for yourself to get the most out of your day.
Right. And that goes back to just being real too, and realizing that like not every moment is like super inspiring and super like whatever, but you can pull things from situations that you don't even realize at first are there. And like you start to get to know that over time, like as we go deeper and deeper into these conversations and we talk about this more often and more often, you start to see those things in different situations in your life.
Yeah, and you can't expect that from yourself naturally at first. If you're just starting out, you're not going to know how to flip the script on different situations that are going on within your environment at any given point in time. You have to kind of switch your mindset and learn how to look at things in a new light. And then you start noticing it actually come up and transition in your day-to-day experiences. It's not going to just like happen one day. You wake up and everything is new. You have to work at it.
Right.
And correct your thoughts consistently throughout your day. Yeah. And silence the negativity. It's so important to stay positive. Like, I can't tell you how many negative people I've had pass through my life on a regular basis. And I'm just like, oh my God, so draining. Oh my God, it can't be around that much longer. And knowing how to remove yourself from that. And if you can't, physically remove yourself from that situation for whatever reason that may be, just taking what people say and what people put out into the world with a grain of salt if it's not something that's aligned with where you're looking to be. If you're positive and I don't know, you're a college kid who lives with your mom and she's bitching and complaining about everything and it's super negative all the time and you're like, oh my God, stop. Like, I can't. Then you need to learn how to flip your mindset around that, flip the script around that. Be like, okay, maybe she's feeling this way because of this. What can I take from that? How can I grow from that? Mm-hmm. Whatever it may be, I think you can apply that to various different situations.
Yeah, and even just like picking up on other people's energy is something that I've noticed so much more through this whole experience and, building this podcast to what it is now and just meeting with all these amazing people. And I feel like our first episode when we recorded with Kat.
Oh my God, we were like high after. Guys, literally, Kat, I hope you hear this. We literally were just like high after we met her and sat with her and had this conversation. And I don't know if it was just her energy or the conversation or a combination of both, or maybe our excitement for the fact that we just recorded our first episode, but it was wild. We were just like, oh my God, this is so aligned. Our hearts are beating out of our chests. Let's crack some wine. Oh my God, this is great. This is amazing. We need to keep doing this every day. It was great. And I think things like that happen when you're doing the right thing.
And like it was so cool to just have that feeling. And then we had stopped by her place another day, and I remember walking away from seeing her again going, no, it really is her. Like, it really just is her energy. And, like, it's been so great to just pick up on that from different people, and I feel like I've been so much more aware of it going through all of this, because through building a new business venture, you become very sensitive to others' energies because it's so important for you to stay positive and have that mindset. You like automatically become more sensitive to the people around you and the way that they react to things and just the way that their energy is in general.
Yes, I feel like when I'm around people that are just like not on my vibe level on whatever day, I'm just like, oh my God, get away from me. Yeah. You're extra annoying today. I can't be around this. This is like draining. You know?
Like not for anything that they necessarily say or do. It's just a feeling.
Absolutely. And I feel so blessed and to have met so many people, like you were saying, through this process. Like, so many of our guests have brought us to that level of like, oh my gosh, this is so right. This is who we need to be talking to. This is our tribe. These are the people that we want to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so nice to be finding that in the world, because I think for so many people, there's a lot of life that we go through where you're not always around people that you like or enjoy. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of like disasters that go on in people's worlds from a young age to into adulthood, and we learn how to protect ourselves against that. And I think at times that can be detrimental to our creativity and our willingness to step into the light and do different things. Just move forward and be like, okay, I want to try something else. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Let me try it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you have this protective shield up of like, oh, if I stop doing this and I do something else and it doesn't work out, like maybe I'll be miserable like those people that made me feel miserable my whole life. I feel like a lot of people really think like that. I've heard that so much.
Yeah.
And it's scary. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Just number one, get to know yourself. Step into a self-care routine that serves you. And wake up every morning with an attitude of like, I get to live. I get to live and function in the world with all this crazy stuff that's going on right now. Like, get really humble. Step back and realize what you've got and the mind that you have and what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Not everybody is given that opportunity. Maybe they have a great mind, but they have a horrible environment. And they literally have no way out. Or they can't see it. Or they don't know anybody that could get them there. I'm sure a lot of you listening aren't in that situation.
Yeah.
So just make it happen. Like, suck it up, man. And make it happen. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
I just feel like so much of life is spent complaining and, like, listening to others' complaints. And it's just like, no, it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, and it's also, I think what we've found and what we've talked about this multiple times. I know it's come up in conversations on other episodes, but the fact that people are so much more willing to help you than you think they are.
Yeah.
And you might reach out to, we've had people we've reached out to for the podcast that have never responded.
Yeah.
And that's great. And we move on.
Yeah, you just have to keep throwing stuff at the wall until something sticks. Like, if you're not trying and you're not putting yourself out there, then nobody is going to help you.
Right.
It's not
Nobody's coming to us.
Yeah. Mary Poppins is not going to show up at your doorstep and take your kids for the day. Like, that's not going to happen. I promise. Well, I promise you it's not. Like, you need to find a way.
Yeah, but if you reach out to people, you would be so surprised how many are willing to help you in any way that they can. Yeah. And I mean, we're just so grateful for like every person that's been on the show so far, and
everybody who's wished us luck along the way. It's like,
everyone that's listening. Like, I mean, 275 listens is so crazy to have so many people like supporting you, that people that we haven't spoken to in so long are reaching out to say good luck, or I want to be on the show, like, let's do something. And it's just so crazy. We're just so grateful to everyone.
You hear all these things when people are starting stuff out. I mean, you don't really ever imagine when you're starting out that that's going to happen to you, but then it does, and you're like, oh, that's what they meant. Oh, that's real. Like, wow, this feels great.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like, you just start getting connected in new ways, and you build networks in new ways that you never knew you were capable of before. And you leverage the network you already have differently. And you just look at people differently in a new light. And it's not just like, what can they do for me? How can they help me? It's like, what can I do for them?
Right. I feel like it's been such an experience for me to just like, because we're looking for people to come on our show, we're looking so much more in depth at other people's journeys and lives.
Sure.
And it's so interesting because, whereas before I may have scrolled past their Instagram post or scrolled past their LinkedIn thing. And it's amazing how, like, we should all be doing this more on a regular basis anyway, but I feel like starting this whole thing has really brought to light, like, the interest that we should all have in each other and what's going on in each other's lives. Like, I'm so much more likely now to, whether it has to do with our show or not, to just reach out to somebody and be like, hey, I think what you're doing is awesome. That's so cool, and, like, I want to support you.
Yeah, I think I did that, like, 3 times today. Just, like, surfing through social media and seeing things that people are doing. Like, I have more of an interest in supporting other people's work differently than I did before. I've always been, like, a shop small, like, keep it local kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it's just felt different lately. Definitely. I definitely agree with you. What do you think some of the hardest things have been for you?
Honestly, probably getting over the fear of certain, like, steps we've taken. Because, like, I know for me, I mean, I'm an accountant, and the idea of, like, owning a business for me is scary. And, like, it's not, I mean, I see people every single day that own businesses that, like, don't even do anything, or, like, just are, like,
it's just like,
whatever.
Oh, I own a business. No, you don't.
Right.
You don't do shit.
Right.
Like, do you run a business, or do you own a business, or do you just, like, say that
you formed an LLC and then you didn't do anything with it?
Like,
but for whatever reason, it just had that, like, stigma to me of, like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. And so, the day we were on there starting.
When we were founding our actual LLC, I swear to you all, this girl was shaking. Shaking in her bed. She's literally sitting in her bed like, should I press it? Should I press it now?
I think I was sweating.
How about now? This is really scary. Do I do it now?
And I felt like there were so many steps, too, that I was like, every time I thought it was, like, the final step, I was, like, freaking out. And then I'd hit the button and I'd be like, fill out more information.
Yeah, it was like you amped yourself up for nothing. You're like, oh, another page.
But yeah, that for me is definitely. And then just, like, the fear of judgment has definitely been a thing. Again, being in the accounting world, it's not exactly the most, like, creative, like, motivational kind of environment, and people don't really talk this way, or, like, there's no, it's just such a different world.
Yeah.
And, like, the idea of putting these thoughts out there that I've never done before, I've never shown, like, that side of me on, like, social media, or, like, to anyone other than, like, my closest friends and family. So just to, like, put my thoughts out there and, have people listening that maybe I didn't know, or that have known me for a long time and had no idea this was me, and just, like, the fear of that not being accepted. And then, you realize after you put out the first, second, third episode, you're like, well, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, the people that are gonna judge me or not like it or whatever aren't the people I'm talking to anyway.
Exactly. I think it's really important to get clear on who you're speaking to, and that kind of helps with all of that imposter syndrome stuff. Like, I've definitely had those thoughts when I was approaching starting to brand myself as a health coach on social media after leaving the corporate world, and being like, oh, well, now if I put this on my LinkedIn, people are gonna look at this and be like, oh, she's one of those, like, hippy dippy health coach girls who like left the corporate world and is all into organic stuff. And I'm like, no.
What did somebody say? A granola.
Yeah, a crunchy granola
crunchy
girl.
Granola girl.
Like, yes, I'm a crunchy granola girl, and yes, I can wear a corporate suit and own any room. Like, judge me off my LinkedIn. I don't give a shit. Like, please, it's just like you have to just get over those things. And just like you said, like, if I go to apply for a corporate role again after completing my master's down the road, and they come and listen to this episode and hear that, and don't want to hire me because I said that, then I don't want to work for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the type of company or the type of person I'm looking to surround myself with on a day-to-day basis. So being able to carry that into every aspect of your life and every aspect of your social presence online, and realize, like, oh, not everyone who sees this is going to have an opinion that matters to me.
Right.
Is really, really important in overcoming that fear. I've definitely felt those things too. I don't think it's been as hard for me with the podcast, because I've done other things before.
Mm-hmm.
So, but definitely, like, the first few times that I put anything out there different than my mainstream social presence, definitely felt that same fear.
So what's been the hardest thing for you?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think kind of like giving myself the space to care about something that I want to do. And that sounds absolutely ridiculous, like something I would never say maybe 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny to think of it like that. As a newer mother, as a spouse, as a stay-at-home mom, as a student, I'm just like, oh, I'm here to serve everybody else. But, like, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm here serving everybody else, putting my thoughts out there into the world in a capacity that serves me too. Like, what? Who knew you could do that? I didn't realize before. I mean, I guess I kind of knew that there was people that did that, but I never knew how to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because people talk all the time about how public speaking is one of the number one fears. I think it's actually recorded to be the number one fear of Americans. And I'm like, give me a mic. I'll talk to anybody, any room, any day. Like, that's never been a thing for me. But and also to think of it in this aspect, like, I tried to record something, video the other day for something I was trying to participate in, and I was so self-conscious. I was just like, oh, I don't like how that looks. Oh, my bottom tooth feels a little crooked in this video. Oh, I don't like how, like, I was judging myself hard, and I did not like that. But I don't feel any of that with this podcasting. It's just, it comes with ease, and it comes with joy, and that's what's been the best part for me, and made me feel most aligned throughout this whole entire journey. I think it's really important to take notice to your feelings around any type of work that you're doing. But I think that's been, like, the most fearful thing for me, is being like, hey, I'm leaving now. I'm going to go record. Hey, mommy's going to lock the door for half an hour, and I'm going to be on a phone call, or I'm going to be recording something, and you can't knock it down, and you can't knock and say, mommy, mommy, mommy. Like, doing things like that has been really scary for me in weird ways. I don't know. I guess my world is more, like, private right now, being a stay-at-home mom, and being that it's, like, I don't leave the house much, and we are in quarantine, and, like, all of this stuff that's happening this year. It's felt really different, just taking time out in your own physical space, in your own house, to do something besides taking care of your family. Mm-hmm. And do something for yourself. That's the hardest thing, I think. Definitely. I have to say, though, that I do love how this work comes with ease. And I think that, again, that's what allows me to dial it back a little bit and sit down and be like, why am I doing this again? Oh, because, like, I want to talk with my best friend all the time and tell people what I want to say. No, not just that. Like, there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's
but
so
I think
aligned.
That it's so cool that we have found something that was already in our lives,
Yes.
that we can now put out there.
Oh, it's just so exciting. If you have something within you, I encourage you to step up and answer the call. Do it now. Like, you're not getting any younger. Time's not stopping. Like, you're not gonna lose the thoughts that you have right now. Like, you're not gonna ever be in a better position to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you have these thoughts and that calling and there's that little whisper inside your heart saying, go for it, do it, do it. You have to answer. It's your duty to answer.
Yeah. Because someone out there is waiting for it.
Yeah. I think that it's hard to look at entrepreneurship in a way that's not service-based for me, just because, like, every entrepreneur I know wants to give something great to the world. And that's how I've always thought of entrepreneurship. Like, I'm giving. So if you're not in that position of, like, what am I giving to the world, and you don't know what you have to give to the world, I think it all comes back to getting in tune with why you want to do whatever it is that you want to do. And if you can't figure out why you want to do it, just start doing it anyway. And see what happens. If you know what it is and you have the skills to do it, start it. And keep asking yourself these leading questions every day until you get an answer that lights you up and sticks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we went through... So, I remember our first brainstorming session of this whole thing. We sat down, and I swear, for probably 4 hours, we just, like, threw out words and...
Literal words, like single words. Not like sentences.
Single words, just throwing them back and forth, back and forth. We're looking at, like, thesauruses and, like, just, like, seeing, like, what stuck and what felt right and what sounded right. And we were almost ready to call it a night and just be like, let's reconvene tomorrow, when I honestly don't even remember how patent pending came up.
I think we got up and we went into a different room and we were like, let's get some water. And you had seen something about audits and you were like, haha, isn't that funny? I'm an accountant and, like, this could be a thing, but I don't know if I really like that. And then you saw something with the word patent, and you were like, patent pending. And then I was like, the podcast. And we were like, yeah. And now here we are, patent pending the podcast. So many things that we came up with. We maybe came up with maybe like 3 or 4 names for the company before that, but they were all taken already.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to do those little creative things that are so crucial to building your brand from the start, because there's a lot of thought that needs to be put into it. But don't, like, just if something is feeling right, like, don't sit there and overthink it, because you will convince yourself that it's not feeling as right as it is.
If we hadn't put pen to paper and, like, committed to that name on the spot, I don't think that would be our name.
Yeah.
Like, I think we would have worked ourselves out of it.
Yeah. Because that's just the type of people we are.
Yeah, you just give yourself too much time. But also, like, that just happened to happen that night. But we were ready to be like, all right, we've gone through all of these different things. You know, we're getting ideas of what we see and what we're feeling and what kind of things are working and not working. But we're getting out of the mindset, so let's just call it a night and we'll get back to it tomorrow. And I think it's so important to acknowledge that when you get to that point of, I'm not feeling it anymore, then you're not going to come up with what you need to. And I think that was the best thing we could have done for ourselves that night, was to just walk away, and then it ended up working out anyway. But if it hadn't, that's okay.
Yeah.
You come back to it tomorrow, you get more thoughts out there, and, you know, eventually you find what's right. But there's no sense in forcing it or pushing yourself to get something, you know, put pen to paper immediately, because it's just not... If what you're saying isn't immediately going, yes, that's right, that feels right, then keep going.
Yeah.
You'll find that thing that stands out.
Yeah. You have to learn when to give yourself a break. And to also honor every single little win.
Yes.
To feel like you're doing something good. Like, if you're just setting, like, one big goal and you're like, I'm not rewarding myself until I don't know, have 10,000 followers. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, you shut that up right there, because you can't, like, think that way. You have to honor all of the little pieces of the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
To get anywhere and feel good about it, or else you're just like head down miserable.
Yep.
The whole process. It should be fun. Like, when you're an entrepreneur, there's no reason it shouldn't be fun.
Yep.
Like, there's going to be tough times where you're like, oh my God, I'm like cramming for this, or like, I need to get this done by this deadline or whatever. But like, you're choosing to be an entrepreneur and do your own work for yourself. If you're not having fun, you should not be an entrepreneur doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Yep.
Pick something else. Like, it's okay to pivot and do something else. Even if you're making a ton of money and you're like, oh my God, I can't like not have this business. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so keep that business. Find somebody else to run it. If you're making that much money, then you should be able to do so and figure out what the hell it is that you want to do.
Right.
You get one life. Like, why are you not living it the way that you want to be?
Yeah. And I think that all goes back to giving yourself, like you said, the little wins, and giving yourself, like, those step-by-step goals of how you can get to where you want to get to. Because otherwise it's way too overwhelming. Like, nobody can sit here and say, like, I'm not going to do anything until I get 10,000 followers and be like happy in the process. Like, you're going to make yourself miserable. Yeah. So, you know, when we got 10 followers, we're like, oh,
woo, 10!
We got 10 followers.
Yeah.
You know, and we put out our first episode. That was a celebration. You know, we just put out our 10th episode the other week, and that was a celebration. You have to make sure that you give yourself those. And to your point of, like, it should be fun. I mean, when I pulled all-nighters for school, I was miserable. Like, when I was up until 2 o'clock in the morning for school, I was miserable. But, you know, there's been nights where I'm editing a podcast episode really late at night, to whether it's release night or the day that, you know, I want to have it done so we can review it. And it's not miserable. Because I'm sitting there listening to these amazing conversations and knowing that this is something that I chose to do, and I'm doing it with amazing people.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah, everything is a choice, guys. Like, you take back your power when you become an entrepreneur. And when you start to actually monetize whatever it is that you're doing, and you can create, like, sustainable life stuff for yourself through the money that you're making through your business, and you're not shy about things anymore, and you're very sure about your purpose and why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to feel so good. You're going to feel so good. So just, like, get up, get out there, give your light to the world, and be who you are. Like, you're here for a reason. We all are. Mm-hmm. And if you feel a calling in your heart towards entrepreneurship, and it's not just like I'd like to work for myself and not have to ever work for anybody else. Like,
that's not a reason.
Exactly. If it's just that, then, like, you need to dig a lot deeper.
Yeah.
And find real reasons. But if it's not just that, and it's more than that, and you know that, but you don't know how to get to where you need to be, you need to find people to surround yourself with, and find content to surround yourself with and filter your mind with, that's going to get you to where you want to see yourself. Don't burden yourself and pressure yourself with doing it all at once, because it just comes as you go, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely learned to roll with the punches and, you know, just figure it out little by little. And, you know, you come across problems and issues along the way, and you just come up with a solution. You sit down and you say, okay, this is a problem we're having. How do we fix it? And whether that's reaching out to somebody else who knows something that you don't know. You know, we did it the other day. We reached out to a past guest that we had because we thought that they might be able to help us with something we were discussing. So, you know, again, people are more willing to help you than you think.
Yeah.
Reach out when you need help.
Take the opportunities when they come up. Learn as much as you can from every single person you're exposed to.
Yeah, definitely.
This conversation has been so invigorating, but let's just take a quick second for an ad break.
So I feel like we've talked a lot about, you know, the motivational aspects of becoming an entrepreneur and, you know, why we do what we do and what got us there. But just circling back to the more logistical part of forming a business, starting a podcast. I know when we first started, we had that, you know, we came up with the idea, phone call, do we want to do this? Yes, we're so excited. Now what are we doing?
Yeah. It was like high stress. What the hell am I doing with my life? How do I like navigate this to, oh, I have an idea. We're starting a podcast. Do you want to do this? I want to do this. Yes, I want to do this. Okay, great.
Now what do we do?
Now what?
And I just remember sitting down that first night and just being like, how do we start a podcast?
Yes.
Like, what?
We're like,
How do we record it? How do we host it? Do we need a website? Social media? What do we put on our social media?
Yes.
Like, how do we link all these things together? How do we, like, it was definitely a learning experience all the way along.
yes. But the passion was there first. Like,
Yeah.
we discovered that and we were like all about doing the work.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's when it's exciting and that's when you know it's right, is when you're like, okay, I had an idea and I feel like on fire about it. Like literally, like I felt like I was on fire. I was like crying, like, oh, I'm so excited. Oh my God. And then it's just like, okay, now I'm ready. I'm ready to hit the ground running and do the work. And we did.
Yeah.
So like next steps, we had to figure out a name.
Yeah.
We had to build our vision. Like, why are we doing this? What are we doing this for? Who are we doing this for?
Mm-hmm.
Take the 5 W's and answer all those questions before you do anything.
Yeah.
And then the name, that was like a lot of focus.
Yeah.
Like we were saying earlier, like literally thesaurus out, like going through words, trying to figure things out. And we did, clearly. And then gaining clarity around that. Being able to say like, okay, does this name align with what I'm looking to put out into the world?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does. Okay, great. Let's move forward. No, it doesn't. Okay, let's regroup.
Right. And we did that a few times.
Yes. And then the logo. That was fun.
Yeah.
What colors make us feel happy?
Yeah.
What shapes make us feel good?
Yeah.
What are the meanings of these little symbols on a page?
Yeah, and I mean, just to touch on that, my mom actually originally mentioned Tiffany blue as a color for us, and it just kind of like stuck. I was like, yeah, that feels like
good,
bright, but also like calm and like driving at the same time. I don't know what it was. It just kind of felt like it worked. And then my initial idea after we came up with the name, we sat down and we just started putting a logo together. And, you know, we wanted to talk to people in transformative phases in life, and that's what we really wanted to focus a lot of our discussions on. And so the arrows made a lot of sense because it's like transformation.
Yes.
And everything else just kind of fell into place.
Yeah. Figuring out the social media after that was definitely interesting. I mean, anybody can, like, who uses any sort of social media can look at it and say, yeah, that's self-explanatory. I'm not talking about actually physically making the accounts. I'm talking about figuring out what the hell to put out on them. Like, you're like, okay, great. There's an account. It has a logo. Now what do I put there? Like, who do I follow? What do I do? Figuring out, like, what we needed to utilize as far as learning resources to learn about Instagram algorithms and like LinkedIn algorithms and all the different stuff we're still learning to this day. I feel like I get these little like nuggets every week from different sources that I use to learn social media stuff, and it's like, oh, that's why that post got no views.
Right.
Or that's why only like one person had anything come from that, you know?
Nugget of information on LinkedIn, right? You were telling me the other day.
Yes, I got this from a podcast of one of my favorites, Kathy Heller. One of her guests was talking about how on LinkedIn, if you are including links to external sources on the post, your post is less likely to be seen. So LinkedIn is designed to keep people on their site. That's what their algorithm is designed to do. So if you've noticed, a lot of people, what they'll do is take the link to whatever they're advertising. So for example, our episode, if we put the link in the comments as opposed to in the actual post, more people will see that post. It will reach more eyes because LinkedIn's like, oh, cool, Melissa's great. She's going to put this out and she's going to keep people here and they're going to go to her page and then they're going to go to patent pending page and they're going to link between and look at this stuff. But then I put the link to my podcast or whatever it is that we're advertising in the comments and you can get it there. So just getting creative with the things that you do and learning algorithms definitely will make a difference.
Yeah, and then, as far as social media posts go, just, I know in the beginning we went through a lot of trial and error of what we want to put out there, finding the right aesthetic that we wanted, finding, I remember our first 4 posts were, literally all the same color and, all the same style, and, we wanted to be consistent, but then, going through other options, we found things that still fit with our and it's still transforming. I feel like every week it changes a little bit, and we're still finding exactly what we want to put out there and exactly what we want it to look like and everything. So, but, just when you just start, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Just start putting stuff out there and you'll figure it out.
Make yourself a little brand kit. Get your brand colors. When you choose your brand colors and you save it in Canva Pro, it helps you with all of the designs you create because then it automatically pulls those colors to put into your design and you can just have them right there in front of you, first thing to use, so you're more likely to use them then. It's great, and it's very helpful when you're looking for that creative juice and you don't really feel like you have it. To look at those things and be like, what can I do with this? What can I do with that? Just try it and see what happens.
Yeah, Canva's been an amazing tool for us. They're templates for Instagram posts and stories. We use that for our bio highlights. So I highly recommend Canva for anyone that's putting together an Instagram or anything.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with them. I used them once before for some little random pretty thing I was trying to make. It was some little trial, and I remembered them when we started this, and now here we are using it frequently on a day-to-day basis. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You just kind of teach yourself as you go, and you learn what you like, and you learn what attracts the proper audience for you. I think it's also another thing to focus on when you're thinking about social media. First, get very clear on the type of people you're looking to talk to, because there's millions of people online on every social media platform. You're not talking to all of them.
Yeah.
You need to figure out your community, your niche, what you're looking to build. If you're looking to speak to people within many different niches, is that a word? Then you need to focus in on one niche at a time, not everything at the same time, because then it's just overwhelming for you and your viewer. It's who wants to read something that's about 10 different things? You're distracted, it's all over the place. Think about it. Are you going to read some blog post that's 5 paragraphs long and talks about 17 different things and you're just confused by the end of it? No, you have to be very clear, concise, but not too short, where it's whatever, scroll past it, You want to keep people interested in looking at your feed and looking at your story and linking to the things in your profile. Ask questions of your viewers.
Yeah.
Add a question to the caption in your Instagram post, and it'll help people to stay with you and view whatever you're putting out a bit longer. So that's good.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to be specific either. If one post doesn't resonate with some people, maybe the next one will. So don't be afraid to put something out there that is, for a select group of people. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because maybe the next thing you put that out there will be for somebody else.
Yeah, and you have to remember, like, when you are putting things out that are selective, maybe you'll get 10 to 20 new viewers from that group of selectiveness that you've chosen that day. Mm-hmm. And those people will become your clients, and you make 10 grand off of them. Mm-hmm. Like, who knows? Like, you have no idea, like, what it's going to lead to. You don't know who you're going to be able to help, who's going to want to purchase your services, and how whatever you're offering might serve those people. All you need is one. You get the first one. If you could do it once, you can do it again. You just have to figure out how and what you need to alter for each group of people that you're trying to speak to.
Right. And just as far as, like, what social media to be on, we started out with Instagram and Facebook, because we felt like that was where the people that were more likely to engage with us were going to be. We've found over time now, we've added LinkedIn and most recently Twitter, just because we feel like LinkedIn, we both have pretty large networks on there, and there was a point where we both were kind of like, wait a minute.
Why
we
didn't
have
we do that?
all of these connections on this platform, and we're not tapping into that. So really, I mean, I would suggest looking at, don't overwhelm yourself in the beginning with trying to get all of them out there, but definitely be critical with which ones you're doing, because what you start out with is going to inevitably become, like, your primary accounts. So our Instagram and Facebook are still our primary accounts. We found that, putting our episodes out there on LinkedIn has helped us quite a bit recently. So we're definitely going to continue with that. But yeah, just really analyze as you go. Look at your networks, figure out what fits best. Do some research, look at what other people doing similar things are on and what they're posting and what they're doing. We did a lot of that in the beginning, looking at other podcasters' social media and just seeing what they put out there, and how they market their episodes and how they do certain things. And, you want to be careful not to copy anybody or, like, do anything like that.
But figure out, like, who you want to emulate.
Right, exactly. Having role models and influences is really important. Yeah. And we've had a few throughout the whole process that have really been, like, our guides along the way, without even knowing. It's not like we actually, have spoken to most of these people, but they're people that we can watch and see what they're doing. And because the whole world is on social media now, there's so much information out there.
Yeah, it's quite overwhelming at times. That's why we've said several times now, like, you really need to focus in on what you're trying to accomplish when it comes to your social media, because if you're not very clear and concise on what you're putting out there, you're just going to get scrolled right by, just like a ton of other people are.
Right.
Think about the things that captivate you on social media, and then try to translate that to your own brand and how you can emulate that with whatever it is that you're creating. And also, I think there's something to be said, like, for those of you who aren't in quarantine right now and are able to get out there a little bit more in the world, there's really something to be said about being bold and giving people your business card and, like, dropping the name of your company in every conversation that you possibly have the opportunity to. Like, when I go out to eat, I leave my card on the receipt holder when I leave my tip. And I conversate with the waiter or waitress and the host and the bartender and whoever else is around. So as many people in that space as possible get to know me. And then I leave my card, and I know that server goes to the back and they say, oh, this random girl left a card. Oh, maybe I should go listen to this podcast. And then they tell their other 3 coworkers, and then that gets you more listeners. Just like doing little creative things like that. You got to be quick and smart about all the little things that you do. Look at everything as an opportunity and figure out a way to make it one.
Yeah. I mean, we had, just the other day, we were doing some photos, and we were in like a gazebo, and there happened to be this couple sitting there with their dog, and we're like, don't mind us, we're just taking pictures. And then we ended up chatting with them a little bit, and before we left, Melissa handed them a business card. Who knows whether they are going to go watch it, or maybe they'll give it to their kids or whatever, and they'll take a listen.
Yeah.
But just like putting it out there.
Yeah, getting yourself out there when you have like in-person networking opportunities as well is definitely important. I feel like a lot of what I'm seeing on social media right now is really focused on like, how do you get yourself out there on the internet and do everything virtually in this new totally virtual world that we're living in. Mm-hmm. And you can't forget about like the traditional way to do things as well. Mm-hmm. If you have the ability and the time and safe space to do that right now.
Yeah, and I mean, most people are at least going grocery shopping at some point, mm-hmm. or somebody in their family is going grocery shopping. You know, you can leave your card at the cash register. I've seen people just drop a stack of cards at the bagging area at the end, and who knows, somebody is going to see that and be like, oh, let me check it out.
Exactly. Even if you're not going grocery shopping right now, say you're getting like Instacart delivered to your house, like put your card in your door with a little cute note for the delivery person, and they're going to take it, and that's the person that's going to listen. That's the person that's going to take what you're saying and do something valuable with it. That's the person that may become your customer, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe down the road. Mm-hmm. And maybe that person, just maybe, is going to get you connected to 20 more people like them who are going to do the same damn thing. Yep. Like, being able to understand the power of networking and the power of community and the power of people when you're an entrepreneur is, to me, the number one most important thing. Yeah. If you can't walk outside and tell your community what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, if your neighbor doesn't know that like you have a business and your neighbor is someone you talk to, given this example, regularly, then like why is that not known? Why is that not happening? Like, you need to open your mouth and tell these people what you're doing, because if you don't give them the opportunity to flock to you and flock to your business, they don't. They're not going to just come to your door and be like, hey, do you have a business that I can like be involved in and listen to and like engage with you with? That doesn't happen. It's your responsibility to really get yourself out there, and marketing is key.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes what gets in the way with that is, like, people are more afraid to talk to people they know about things like this, like starting a business or a podcast or whatever it is, than they are to strangers, you know?
Absolutely.
I feel like even myself, I'm probably more likely to go to a grocery store and give my business card to some random cashier than to go to my next door neighbor and tell them, hey, by the way, I have a podcast, like, you should listen.
Yeah.
And it's just that thing, it's just another thing you have to get over. Yeah. And it's another thing you have to, you battle with. And eventually, once you've done it enough times, it becomes, like, second nature. And if you talk about it enough, it becomes not such a big deal anymore. And, like, you have to get over this is such a big thing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's if they don't want to listen, they don't want to listen. Move on. Like,
I think, like, it's crazy how fearful we get of, like, other people. Like, what are they going to do? Like, what's exactly going to happen? Like, what do you think is going to happen? I think, like, my favorite saying ever is, like, Beyonce poops. Like, everyone everybody is a person. Don't forget it. Like, that simple saying, everybody puts their pants on in the morning, like Beyonce poops. Come on, guys. Like, just go and do, like, what you have to do. Like, no, everyone is a human being that you're going to talk to, I would assume. So, like, you should definitely step out there and silence your fears and figure out ways that you can do that. Figure out different coping mechanisms to deal with the fear and face it and silence it.
Yeah,
and do what you gotta do.
It's just forcing yourself to do it the first and second time, and then after that, little by little, it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, once you do it once, like I said before, you can do it 10,000 more times.
Yeah, exactly. So
we back to this process as we digress.
A little off track here, but so one of the other things we did kind of right off the bat was put our website together. I think by week 3 we had our website up, and I just think that's really important to be able to have everything in one place, and that's kind of like our central location. You can get to anything that we have from there.
Yeah, and I would say we don't, with saying that and keeping that in mind, we don't really work to drive a ton of traffic to our website.
Right.
It's there, and it's a resource that I feel like is professionally needed when you have a business that's easily accessible. Everything that you're offering is easily accessible right there at your customer's fingertips. If you find somebody that doesn't use social media and they don't want to look at your Instagram and they don't want to look at your Linktree and they don't want to look at your Facebook group or your Facebook page, they need to have a website to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you are just talking to people that more likely are going to be on social media, they should still have just a website to go to.
Yeah.
Where everything you're offering is readily available.
Yeah, and I think it's important too for the prospect of growth in the future, because if you ever want to, start selling anything, any physical, digital products or anything like that, it's a good hub to use, and just kind of always refer back to, because it's that central location where you can have everything. You can have your links to all of your social media. You can have your contact page where you can get messages sent to you. You can have, your email there so that somebody can email you. And just an overall all-encompassing place where somebody can go to get to anything.
Exactly,
It just makes it easier in general for anyone to access any of your stuff.
Yeah, agreed. I think one of the more difficult things that we did when we were starting out, we're looking to share and serve in a way of building informational marketing content for you guys to buy into. And it will be catered towards who needs what and what's available. And we wanted to do that from the start. And that was a little bit of a misstep that we had. We did not have any idea how to set up a PayPal where you could sell a digital download. And then once we did set up the PayPal, we were like, now how do we actually get the money out of the PayPal and put it into a bank account? So while you're setting up your website, if you are looking to sell something physical or a service or whatever it may be, you need to set up your bank account as well.
Yeah.
At the same time. And if you're looking to use a traditional bank, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. For mobile bank accounts, some of them take a few days. If you're just doing an online bank. So definitely keep that in mind as you're approaching your timeline. If you need a few days, then give yourself that time appropriately.
Yeah, and the bank account also, with Anchor, which is the platform that we use to record and upload our podcast episodes, which is completely free. If you're looking for something, you can edit within Anchor, but we don't, because it's there's not as many tools or functions to Anchor as there is to GarageBand. So we actually edit our episodes in GarageBand and then we upload them to Anchor. But when you're using Anchor, there's a a money function where you can add in sponsorships, and you can activate those, but in order to activate those, you have to have a bank account to link it to.
Yeah.
And in our situation, it needed to be a bank account with the business name. If you're doing something on your own and you have like a
sole proprietorship, then you can do it on your own.
Right. You probably can do it a little bit more easily than with a partnership like we have. But definitely set up the bank account as soon as possible, because it's going to help facilitate a lot of different things along the way.
Yeah, get it out of the way. That's where your money's coming through. It should be smooth and simple and off to sail right from the start.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that we learned because we didn't do that.
Yeah, we didn't have a bank account for maybe the first month.
Yeah.
And we were like, how are we paying for this? All right, let's just keep track and we'll like get even at the end. And now here we are. We're trying to make QuickBooks files to figure things out for all of our expenses. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. I mean, what else is there logistically? I think that's like everything.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing is when we record in person, we do use the Anchor app to record.
Yes.
When we record virtually, we've been using Skype, and we've been talking about starting to use Zoom as well. So, we're still in process of figuring things out along the way, and now we have another project. We want to get something on our website that we haven't had before, and it's all a learning process. Google it. Reach out to people. There's always resources out there.
There's so much information right at our fingertips today. There's no reason for anybody to be like stupid.
Yeah.
Or like not know stuff. Like you can go to an online library. You can go to Google. You can go to a physical library. You can buy a book and learn it. You can reach out to people who know it. There's so many ways to learn, so take advantage of the time that we live in and do it.
Yeah. Like our post said the other day, be your own resource. Just
absolutely
know how to get the information that you need from anywhere, and we're always here if you have any questions about what we've done and anything that we can help you with. We're more than happy to do that.
Yes, absolutely. We're here to be a resource for you within the many resources that are out there in the world. Feel free to reach out. We love to chat with people. So.
Well, it's been an interesting conversation today. I feel like we kind of took a roller coaster ride through starting a business, and just from the motivational, emotional portion of it through the strategic and logistical parts of it. It's been a great ride so far, and we can't wait to continue, and we're looking forward to our guest for next week.
Oh my God, guys, September is going to be such a big month. We are right up against something really, really big happening. So stay tuned because we're here.
Keep your eyes peeled.
There's going to be a lot coming your way. I hope it's not too overwhelming for anybody. We're working really hard to cater it specifically to focus groups, and if the first one that comes out isn't your focus group, definitely stay aware, because there's many more of what we're putting out coming. I don't want to share too much, but it's still in the works and it's happening, and it's really, really exciting. So please stay with us and be patient with us. Stay tuned for all that's to come. We're so happy to be here with you guys, and thank you so much for listening in today. Bye for now.